Hey everybody, Jimmy Sanders here, and I'm here to talk about the lore of Legends of Draxia. So, when I started working on Draxia, it wasn't just about the card game. I actively was working on an entire world that I was building. And it really started taking shape as I started working on the RPG to go with the world. And so I really tried to marry the universe with the mechanics, with the theme of the game. And so there's a whole bunch of things that might just seem ordinary about the game of Legends of Draxia. So I've got zombies and wraiths and skeletons and mana pools and all these sort of things are very common fantasy themed sort of topics. But I took a very unique approach to them, and how they work and why they work and what this all means is actually very different from the standard fantasy setting. So when I started working on my Draxia Universe, I came from the point of magic. That's really important to me. How does it work? Really getting down to the nitty-gritty of what makes it tick. And the way I use magic in my universe, the way I view it, is magical energy exists everywhere in the world. However, it's really subtle and dilute. You can't directly touch or feel or use it because it's just not potent enough. It's not strong enough. However, magic has a few unique properties, okay? First of all, this magical energy is reflected by metals, specific types of metals. Ideally, precious metals, things such as copper, gold, silver, platinum, things like that, have this reflective property, so when the magical energy sort of hits it, it bounces off. On top of that, magical energy also likes to sort of stick and adhere to liquids. Any liquid works, however, water tends to be the most commonly used liquid. And in the history of the Draxia Universe, over time, people figured out this sort of by accident. They had their copper metal cooking pot left with some water in it overnight, and it started having some tingly, some pop, something to it. And they figured out over time that that was magically charged, that they could use that. And that is called mana, magically charged liquid. Now, what creates mana are mana pools, which are precious metal bowls crafted in a way so as to maximize and concentrate magical energy the most. And the way these mana pools work is basically that magical energy sort of falls on in, floats on into those bowls, and then gets reflected around and just concentrated in. And then the liquid sticks and holds onto it, and so that's how you get this really potent magic. Now, once you've got mana, you can do a few things with it. You can drink it, and then you've got the mana internalized, and then you can use it. And so in my universe, everybody uses magic, to the lowliest commoner to the king. Anybody can use it because it's so easy. You get a copper bowl and you got magic. Now, it's always being consumed. Sort of think of it as like gasoline or something. It's easy. Anybody can go buy gas, but after you use it, it's gone and you have to go get more. And so barbarians will drink a mana potion and then they'll use it to act as sort of a steroid. They'll hulk themselves up and punch through a wall. Or an archer, some marksman kind of person, he might use magic to enchant his arrow while he's firing it to sort of phase through a tree so that it's at extra accuracy so people can't hide behind stuff. And then clearly you've got your arcane and divine casters. So you got the wizards that can throw their fireballs, and you got the healers that can resurrect people and do divination magic to find stuff out. So that's how people really use magic internally. On top of that, you can use magic to enchant things. So if you take those mana pools, you can then take the mana out of it, enchant magical equipment, and then you can have some magical effect on it. Make your sword flaming, or make this object have some spell-like ability imbued into it. This actually rolls into how you do that. The precious stones, diamonds and rubies and those sort of things, in my universe, that crystal lattice structure is capable of holding on to that magic really effectively. And so in magical equipment, you have to take and basically craft specialized precious stones into it. Then pour mana potions on top of it, soak them in mana, what have you, and that sort of charges the battery, so to speak. With that charged battery, you can then use those spells. And so if you want to have a flaming sword, you have that nice precious stone crafted into it, you activate the ability and it starts draining power out of the stone. Once the precious gem is depleted, you have to refill it with more magic, otherwise it doesn't activate anymore. So that's some of the basis on how my magic system works. Now, there is the flip side to magic, the good, the bad. So if you use an inferior metal, let's say something like lead or chromium, those will produce what's called corrupted magic, corrupted mana. that stuff has a twisted effect. So it's not really the metal that you should use to make magic. It flips the magic around. Not really good. So you still use it to enchant stuff, you still use it to cast spells with it, but if you're exposed to using it, you'll start having these deleterious effects. And this is where the undead come from. And so just like with regular magic, you've got low tier crappy mana such as copper, and then you've got really high quality platinum magic. Same with corrupted. If you use lead to make your corrupted mana, you get low tier. If you use chromium, you get high tier corrupted magic. The low tier magic, low tier corrupted magic, that produces the mindless undead. Your skeletons, your zombies, what have you. If you use the really good stuff, chromium, you'll get your liches, you'll get your wraiths, you might get some vampire-like abilities. And so depending on what type of corrupted magic you're exposed to will dictate what sort of undead you slowly morph and change into. In the history of the universe, there's some really neat stuff that came out of this. So in the human civilization, they didn't know about magic for centuries. They had a nice civilization going by the time they sort of realized, holy crap, magic exists. This is amazing. Unfortunately, they didn't understand how corrupted stuff worked. And in their enthusiasm to provide magic to everybody, the most powerful cities started this program to build a giant Olympic-sized swimming pool worth of mana pool. Well, the only material they had that was nearly plentiful enough was lead, because that's the only material they had. So the most powerful cities simultaneously started work on big lead mana pools, which, as you can guess, caused a ripple effect of undead starting from the center of their city out, and basically caused the entire human civilization to just collapse almost overnight, because hordes of undead just started spawning from these buildings. Which, in the universe, if you're playing the RPG, are wonderful set points when you're playing through the game, because you can go, hey, as a GM, I'm going to have you guys have a quest to go into these old ancient cities that are full of undead with this giant, evil, corrupted pool set right in the middle of it. And so that's just a little taste of all this wonderful lore that I've got. I've got a whole bunch more things for where certain special animals come from, like the unicorns and the dragons and some of their tendencies. And I do have elves and gnomes and dwarves and their own unique takes on how they are, which is a little bit different from the standard. But that'll come in a future video. Thank you.